Welcome to Life Talk, a production of Maranatha Ministries, with Shoshannah Frank Rausch, a ministry director at Maranatha, and Jene Gardner, president of Phoenix Rising Counseling Services. These lifelong friends discuss the spiritual and emotional challenges that face us all. Using biblical characters and personalities, they help us see that we are not alone in any of our emotions, positive or negative, and show us how we can be more than conquerors. If you'd like to speak with either Shoshannah or Jene, you can reach them by email at lifetalk@mmchurch.com. And now be blessed by today's presentation of Life Talk.
Jene, how are you?
Are you, Sho?
I'm doing well. I'm gonna. I might cough. I'm a little foggy right now.
It's okay.
I've been sick for what feels like a year, but it's like last Wednesday. But it's ripped through the whole house. Ritz and I had to stay home from church on Sunday.
Oh man.
So yeah. So
I hope you feel better because you're on vacation, so you can't be sick on vacation.
I know.
Got to get it out.
Speaking of that, we might as well tell everyone we will not be having an episode next week. It is July 4th week. We're all on vacation. And so we are going to skip next week and we will resume the week after.
All right. Yes. Right. I hope everyone has a great
great 4th of July.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people are on vacation this time of the year. I think Sunday we had
are traveling. Be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. We had like 20 of our regular people out on Sunday just because people were on vacation.
Oh wow, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
That time of the year.
So we decided last week we were going to talk about kindness.
Yeah.
Today. So like we said, the famous scripture, Ephesians 4:32, be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you. I was reading a little bit over the past, week or so regarding kindness and fruits of the Spirit and how kindness is very intertwined with love.
Yeah.
And that kindness, God is the definition of kindness. The fact that he robed himself in flesh and was crucified for our sins is the ultimate act of kindness.
Yes, absolutely.
And so,
I think that it's really interesting too, like with kindness is when I was kind of like reading up on it, and it's so true that kindness is being selfless, being compassionate, and really doing for other people without needing or wanting something in return.
Right.
And that's what kind of differentiates it from just being good-hearted in that way of, because, or just saying, oh, I'm going to do this just because it's not for your glory, it's for God's glory when we do act and when we give to others. And I thought about Boaz in the Bible, like it says that he was one of an example in the Bible that kind of showed kindness, because when he would tell his workers to leave grain for Ruth, and that's what she would come in and that's how she survived, during like the famine and different things. And so I think it's doing for something good out of your heart, but it's also like that's something that in our nature, we're not on our own kind. It's like that's a God nature that he gives us. Is to
not only that though, Jene, but in his kindness and in his marrying of Ruth and taking care of her, they were the lineage of Jesus.
Yes, that's true.
So think about what would have happened if he wasn't kind and that didn't progress. And
good point.
How would that ripple effect have taken, what would that have done down the line?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point and in that, like I was reading in Proverbs, and Proverbs 11:17 says that a kind man benefits himself, but a cruel man hurts himself. Which, is kind of, when we think about kindness, we're doing it for others, but there's several places in the Bible where it talks about kindness is actually something that uplifts your spirit, when you do for others. And so it's like a double effect, I guess, in terms of it's benefiting someone else, but it's also uplifting your spirit, because, and you probably have examples too, Sho, like where you've been kind, where you gave of yourself, and sometimes it's not just in monetary things, sometimes it's just with time and spending time with someone who's in need or is struggling. It uplifts your spirit because you feel good, because you got out of yourself and out of like what was going on with you. And like we're helping somebody in a way, that it's not always things and, doing those things. But I don't know. Have you ever been in like a Dunkin' Donuts line or Tim Hortons line and somebody like in front of you pays for your coffee? Like you get up there to pay. Has that ever happened to you?
It's never happened to me, but I've done it for somebody else. Like I've paid for somebody behind me, but no.
Yeah. Like,
but I don't pay for the person behind me hoping that, next time I go through line, someone does it for me.
Right. So I know that that's happened to me, like literally so many times. And I'm always like, it just makes your whole day. You're like, oh my goodness, like that was so nice. I don't even know who you are. And there's no way of even acknowledging you or even saying thank you. But then it does make you feel like, oh, I want to pay for the person behind me then if someone, because you're already expecting to buy a coffee anyway. But it does uplift your spirit when someone does something. And that's a true act of kindness, where you don't even know who they are.
And another thing I was thinking too, we live in such an unkind world.
We do.
If our world was just a little kinder, the difference it would make. And in that unkindness, it's dark. It's darkness. And, we're called to be the light of the world, and there is light in our kindness in such an unkind world. The kindness that we can show to others. I was reading an article, and it was a pastor who was talking about a testimony that he had, and it was a young man that had visited his church for the very first time, and he had walked in the doors, and he had told the pastor, he said, the music was very uplifting, and I felt good, and the sermon really touched me. He said, and when I left the church, there was one of the women that goes to the church was in the car next to him, and they were both waiting to pull out, and he happened to look over, and this woman, all she did was smile and wave at him. And he got home, and he had been really dealing with a depression, and he said he woke up in the middle of the night to the devil saying, just take the easy way out. Take the easy way out. And so his mind went to the shotgun that he had in his closet. And so he knew that it was that it was a very selfish act that he was considering, but it kept replaying. It's the easy way. It's the easy way out. It's just easy. And he said, Pastor, your sermon didn't come to mind. And the uplifting music didn't come to mind. He said, what kept flashing through my mind was a woman who looked at me and smiled and waved.
Wow.
And that's all. And he goes, and that's why I'm still here today. Because I remembered a smile and a wave. And you don't realize, when you hold the door for that person at Macy's, or, you say, listen, if I hear someone sneeze, I say, God bless you. I don't care where I am. And you would think that when you say God bless you to someone, it's like the nicest thing you've ever done. It's being aware of the little moments that God places in your path. You can choose to just walk right by. You can choose to not hold a door for somebody, but you don't know how it's affecting someone's life. And I keep thinking of the widow of Zarephath, who her kindness towards Elijah, when he needed food, he had nothing. And so she took the very last that she had and she made him food. Yeah. Kindness is not based on your circumstance.
Right.
So true. It's not based on what you're going through or what kind of day you've gone through. What kind of Christian are you? If you've listen, we've all had bad days.
Yep.
We've all experienced hurt and heartache, and it's how you handle that. It's how you treat other people. There's never an excuse to be rude and angry and cruel to other people, to lost people who you are their only example of Christ.
Right. It's so true. And, and if you think about it, like tonight in my Focus Life group at church, I'm doing a fear of rejection and kind of giving this, because a lot of us struggle with that, but also kind of looking at like the examples in the Bible where people have been rejected, and you think about Jesus, like he was rejected numerous times, and even thinking of him going to the cross wasn't like he was rejected, like the ultimate rejection, and that he could have chose to not do those things, but out of the kindness, he still said, you know what, even though this is hard, I'm going to fulfill the will, like the will that I'm here, like my purpose. And knowing that, like, even in those times when we do feel rejected, that the fruit of the Spirit is not to be vindictive or get revenge when we have been harmed in those ways, but it is to show kindness. And it's interesting because even when, we're doing fruit of the Spirit, but often, and I've been guilty of this, of calling it fruits of the Spirit, but it's really fruit of the Spirit, meaning that if you want to display the fruit, you have to display all of this. This is all like one.
You can't pick and choose which one's easier.
Yeah, which one to do, like fruit of the Spirit. And that's how people are going to know that we belong to God, is like through the way that we're doing, how we act. And I think it's interesting because in the world that we live in, when there is so much hate and cruelty and rejection and all of these awful things, that to be a true Christian is to say, I choose to love, I choose to have joy, I choose to have peace, gentleness, kindness, all of those things, because kind people, they're gentle and they're patient. And I think it's interesting because that was a definition that kind of came up, and gentleness and patience are also fruit of the Spirit, so you can't have one without having the other,
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing, the kind of build off that is busyness. Mm-hmm. Busyness takes away from kindness. I mean, think about the Good Samaritan.
Yeah, true.
He had to stop to help. He had to take, how many people walk by and thought, I don't have time to deal with this. I don't have, if you're too busy to be kind, you're too busy. you need to take a step back. Yeah. If you can't be kind, because we live in a hurting world. I mean, there are people that are hurting. There are people that are financially unstable. There are mentally unstable. There are so many opportunities for us to just be kind. And I know in 1 Thessalonians, it says, therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. Yeah. And I know we gave him a shout out. I think, what was it, last week or the week before? But Bruce Hanley is a gem of a man. And, when we got to talking about doing kindness, Bruce kept coming to my mind. We got an email from him today, just a nice, encouraging email about our, Life Talk and the episodes and how much they encourage him. And I got to thinking about kindness, and I'm like, Bruce is the epitome of kindness. If you want to see, we use a lot of Bible characters, and we talk about, if you want to see somebody in real life, how kindness really works, Bruce is your guy. And I got to thinking about, just if you want to learn how to be kind, go shadow Bruce for seriously just a couple hours. I've never heard the guy say anything negative about anyone. Wow. And the thing that's wonderful about him is that, he's experienced hurt and heartache and pain, and, he has a broken marriage, and he's got children, and, he wasn't always in church. He was in church. He was out of church, and I can't attest to how he was out of church. I don't know what kind of traumas he experienced when he was out of church. I don't know what kind of traumas he caused while he was out of church, but he is a true testament of the changing grace of God and what you can accomplish when you have God in your life. Yeah. He is the epitome of kindness, of how to be kind and how to encourage and how to be there with a kind word when someone needs it. Or just, there's been times that in church, not even a kind word, it's he'll just pat your back as you walk by. Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know why I just went off on that tangent, probably because I read 1 Thessalonians and Bruce was on my mind. He had just sent us that email you know, this morning, that encouraging email, and you know, and he's another example of kindness is not based on your circumstance. It doesn't matter what you're going through. You can give a word of encouragement.
Yes. Yep. And he does, right? Like in those emails, no one's asking him to, but he, you know, he does it willfully. And I think that's when you were talking about like busyness and stuff, that really, to me, I think is like one of the greatest ways that you can show that you care and that you are being kind is by taking a moment, picking up the phone and calling someone that maybe has been missing, you know, a church, or like someone that you know is going through something, like, because our time is one of the most valuable and precious like commodities that we have. And so when you do take time to say, hey, let's come over to my house for dinner, let's, you know, go get coffee, let's do something, that's like showing somebody that ultimate kindness of saying my time is valuable, but I also know that me being kind, that's valuable. My time with you is valuable.
Right.
When you can do those
You
things.
know, another option is for kindness. There's so many opportunities out there in the sense of, listen, I know people are busy. We live in a, you know, an environment right now where people are working 2 or 3 jobs. They're working 80 hours a week. I get that you can't always, you know, someone's down and out and you can't always be there to cook them dinner, or you can't. Do you know how many times I've called a friend that I know is going through something, a friend who's going through a divorce, or, you know, parents are in hospice, or, you know, and I've called and just said, listen, you know, I don't know what you need. And a lot of times people aren't going to tell you what they need because they don't know what they need. And I'll say, you know, listen, just let me know what restaurant you like, and I'll have Uber Eats deliver it to your door tonight. I can't personally cook you dinner, but I'll send you dinner.
Yeah,
you know, you can, you know, there are ways to think outside the box to be kind to people. That's true. I think, you know, a lot of times we live in a world where people don't want to take the time to figure out, you know, ways to be kind.
Yes, it's true. But it is like, and because kindness is selfless, but I can attest to like when we do act on, you know, when we are selfless, it does uplift you, you know, no matter what you're going through, it will help you to kind of look at your situation differently. And it empowers you to kind of do more for others. And that's really what we're here for, is to do for others, you know, helping them without wanting or expecting anything in return, you know.
Right. Absolutely. Well, this has been an awesome talk.
Yes.
And no clue what we're not doing it next week. That's right. Yes. So we will resume the week after. I'm not even going to attempt to figure out what date that is. I think it's like the 13th, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. But we'll be back here 2 weeks from today.
Yes.
All right. And everyone have a safe 4th of July. If you're traveling, you know, we pray God give you safe traveling mercies. And we'll see everyone in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Have a great time on vacation.
All right. Thank you. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.